On today's episode of Locked on Wild, Game 1 goes to the Vegas Golden Knights. Game 2 should be all about trying to figure out Line 2.
Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked on Wild.
You're Locked on Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Locked on Wild, your daily Minnesota Wild podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. We are your team each and every day, and we thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. On today's episode of Locked on Wild, Alex Michaletti joins us as we break down a pretty entertaining Game 1, albeit one that went to the Vegas Golden Knights for pretty much all of the reasons that we outlined in previewing the series. We'll talk about a strong performance by the top line, but not much else beyond that. And the need for the Wild to find another gear to be able to help out those top-level players. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked on Wild, credentialed media member, and joined by Alex Michaletti. And Alex, it was a good game. We talked about it in the postcast. It was entertaining. The Wild were right in it until the end. Ultimately, Vegas wins 4-2. Penalty kill gives up a power play goal.
Face-off losses on the goals.
Face-off leads to an immediate shot. Top guys noticeable. Rest of the lineup not as much. Pretty much the things that we expected would be a bit of an issue in this series, and Vegas was able to keep those an issue. If the Wild are gonna make this a series, they're going to need to get those ironed out heading into Game 2.
Yeah, 100%, and because they had the game plan to try to beat this Vegas team, and it just a couple of just mistakes in the face-off dot led to goals right away, and they brought the physical aspect of the game. That's for sure, and they tried, but Vegas they know how to exploit the weaknesses, and their depth kind of showed off tonight. They had 2 goals from their fourth line, so that goes to show you how much depth they have on that team, and it's gonna be a battle if they want to. They're gonna have to steal one in that building.
Yeah, it is going to be an absolute battle between these two teams. Now, on this night, the Minnesota Wild did get they got good production from the top line. Matt Boldy had a great game. He had 2 goals.
Yeah.
He I'm still replaying that shot on the first goal that got by Aiden Hill. And not to say that the second goal wasn't impressive too, but that first shot, just absolutely something else. And that was something that the Wild were going to need in this series too. So mission accomplished in getting Matt Boldy going and having him have a good game, and Kirill Kaprizov playing more of a facilitator role in this one, as opposed to like a playmaker and a shot taker, which I think probably is a little indicative that he's still not quite there yet from a do everything perspective. But then Joel Eriksson Ek had a monster game too. So your top line does the job. They show up, they set the tone, they get a couple goals on the board, but beyond that, there was nothing really consistently offensively to match it.
Yeah, the line combos, kind of second line, third line, fourth line down. It was just kind of weird. Just looking back at it too. I don't think Matt Zuccarello really fits well with Gaudreau and Johansson. And then obviously third line, fourth line, they didn't do anything tonight really for kind of invisible out there. And they're going to need those depth lines to at least do something, contribute. I know they were hitting, but they got to help on the score sheet there too, because if the Wild turn into a one-line team, it's really easy to defend. We've seen it in past postseasons for sure.
Yeah, looking at the four main combinations, the Boldy, Eriksson Ek, Kaprizov line, they had an expected goals percentage of 71.2, which you would expect considering that they and ironically, like they did not get any credit for actual goals for courtesy of moneypuck.com, which how did Boldy score if that I don't know.
Yeah.
27 shot attempts for by that line, 19 against. Johansson, Gaudreau, Zuccarello, they had 7 attempts for, 15 against. Foligno, Rossi, Nyquist, 3 attempts for, 7 attempts against. And Trennan, Hartman, Brazo, 5 attempts for, 6 attempts against. So other than the top line, all of the other lines got out attempted, which further underscores the point that like you gotta get those ironed out. You gotta figure out what is going on with those other lines. And I think the big thing centers around you gotta get Marco Rossi figured out.
Yeah, it's he had a heck of a regular season for the most part. He kind of slowed down there at the end, but if he wants to get paid like Matt Boldy, you have to show up in the playoffs here. And I get he doesn't have the most offensive line mates tonight, but you have to show up. Still, you have to create. Sometimes you have to create your own offense, right? And
he did it last year.
Yeah. Just didn't seem like he was engaged enough, like some of the other forwards. Just like I said, when they turn into a one-line team, it just makes Vegas is so good defensively, and then when you trying to force everything on the one line there, it makes it even easier for them to do what they do.
I also now found out why the Boldy, Eriksson Ek, Kaprizov line did not get credit for any goals for.
Is that because somebody else was not on the ice?
Hartman was the center for both goals.
Yeah.
So
he must have hopped. They were, I don't know. I think Hines saw that Hartman was, he's kind of a playoff type of player. Just, he likes to be, he's the Wild's version of Brad Marchand. Obviously they're not the same talent level, but he likes to be a rat out there. And I think that's why they were probably giving him more ice time, is because, to have him muck up the game there.
Well, and especially, with players coming in, players coming out, he probably, I don't believe he took faceoffs in those situations, but just was still on the ice for the two. And that 31 seconds, 2 goals for, 2 attempts for, no attempts against. So just go with that combination for the entirety of the game, and you'll score 120 goals at that pace. But I think the point here that we're getting at is, the forwards for the most part, Kirill, Boldy, those two were buzzing. Eriksson Ek was buzzing, and John Hines is just trying to kind of mix and match the rest of especially the centers, just to try to find something that is going to work. Because he knows it, we all know it.
Right.
They're going to need another line. You can't go in against any team, let alone Vegas, and expect that you're going to beat them with one line.
No, and ideally, Freddie Gaudreau is not a top 6 player, but they're putting him there. I know he had some moments down the stretch there in the regular season, but ideally that shouldn't be your second line center. Well, especially if it's going to be. I mean, Marcus Johansson, he's so streaky, and he tonight it looked like, the Marcus Johansson that we saw a lot last year when he was a cardio boy. It's tough. It's tough when there's, I feel bad for Matt Zuccarello just because he it just it's not. I'm sure he would love to be back with 97, but that's not what they're doing right now.
No,
Maybe they'll do it at home, but we'll see.
Well, I'm sure before the season is over, we will see that combination at least one more time. But this is the playoffs. Things are inability to score is magnified. Turnovers are magnified. Power play opportunities for and against are magnified. And it's often that you pinpoint a couple of different things that end up, especially in a 1-goal game until the very end. You pinpoint a couple of things that ultimately led to the Wild coming up short here tonight, and the hope is that those same things don't end up costing you when we get to Game 2 on Tuesday night. But until we get there, we'll just have to wait and see. I do want to talk a little bit more about a couple of calls that were not called, and I like to pride myself on taking the Locked On Senators approach to officiating. We don't really discuss it unless it feels like there are key moments that are kind of left unchecked. So we're going to talk about those to kind of transition into segment 2, as well as talking about what we saw from Zeev Buium in Game 1 as well. We'll talk about that, and then we'll finish today by going through the rest of the series. We haven't really talked any NHL playoffs yet. And there are some compelling games throughout the rest of the playoffs as well. So we'll finish by talking about all the rest of the series as well. All that coming up as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Game Time. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here. And if you've never been to a live NHL playoff game, it is unlike anything else. The intensity, the speed, the energy in the building, next level. And thanks to Game Time, getting in the door is easier and more affordable than ever. Game Time is the fastest way to grab playoff tickets, even for those must-see matchups. Prices actually drop as you get closer to puck drop. With last-minute deals, you can save up to 60%. My favorite Game Time feature is the all-in pricing. You see all of the costs associated with your tickets before you hit checkout, so you don't get blinded by those hidden fees. The app even shows you panoramic seat views, so you will know exactly what you're going to see before you click buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. We will have our next live show with Denny Tuesday night before the Game 2 puck drop. It's a 10 o'clock Central Time puck drop. I have a baseball game tomorrow night. Well, tonight, when everyone is listening to this, that I did not realize was on my schedule. So have that. So we'll just go with a Tuesday show ahead of puck drop at 10. You can watch the show from 8 to 9. Get some refreshments and some coffee and dive into the game Tuesday night at 10 p.m. But Alex, let's talk a little Zeev Buium here. Obviously, his first NHL action, and I thought for the most part, Zeev did fine. Mm-hmm. You know, there were a couple of instances where he probably would have liked to just have back to let a shot rip, like let one fly on the net. But rookie, first career NHL start in the playoffs. Not
on the road.
Yeah, you're not trying to do too much. His entire game is going to be remembered for that final play in which Wild Bill Carlson makes the steal and Matt Boldy hauls him down to prevent an empty net goal.
Had to do it.
Yeah, sneaky good decision by Matt Boldy there. In fact, two of the best decisions this year on penalties have been Zach Bogosian taking a penalty against Winnipeg to send the game to overtime, and which, by the way, Wild don't get that point. They may not make it. They may not make it in. And then Boldy preventing the empty net goal for a few moments. They got it later. But his entire game is going to be remembered for that one play, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. And I think that's why these types of opportunities are so rare. Like, you're not going to see a defenseman make his NHL debut in the playoffs, not because they can't handle it, but because every single play matters in these games, and a turnover could be the difference between winning or losing a game. And that's why so many coaches rely on veteran players in these circumstances as opposed to the rookies.
Yeah. You want to take advantage of, the offensive capabilities that he has. And so, I get that's why they wanted him in the lineup, and fans are anxious to see him just because of the way he's played at the college level and the international stage with the World Juniors. And so, yeah, he definitely did look a little nervous, but I'm glad they gave him this opportunity too. I just think that if you had John Merrill in there, I don't think the game really changes, right?
No.
I don't think so. So it's good that he gets this first one under his belt in a game that the Wild they did have a good chance at winning this game. The Vegas just like you said, they took advantage of the mistakes, and it's magnified on a whole nother level in playoff hockey where there's not a ton of space, and just came down a couple tiny plays that and the puck was in the back of the net, and there's your ball game.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. I do want to talk about, now that you've put that idea in my head, I can't stop thinking about it. The cross check to Ryan Hartman. Do we think it's because of what happened this year and
or his entire career, really? I mean, yeah, but this year for sure.
He is more than a repeat offender. He is we'll save a seat for you here in the penalty box at this point. I don't know if it comes. I don't know if, I'm sure officials talk about it before a series. Like, here are the players that could potentially be mentioned for penalties throughout, but I don't know. I just don't really buy into the whole, oh, here we go again with the officiating. Like, Ottawa, watch the Ottawa Senators game against Toronto, and they feel the same way about the officials that Minnesota fans do. Like, it just
also hilarious. Some of the names of these officials. I saw Russo tweet it. The guy that didn't make the call on that. His name is Furman South. Like that. How we always joke, like that's like a creative player. That some of these it's like create a ref. And then also, how about them having an e bug for refs? I didn't know that. I had no idea that was something. And he just came in and smooth transition from the guy. I hope that ref that got hit by Howden's okay.
Yeah, he got trucked by Howden, and it wasn't intentional or anything. It was just he was going for the puck, and oh crap, here's the ref. But that ref got trucked.
Yeah, that was crazy. At first, it looked like his head, and then they were saying his leg. So he could have like multiple things going on there, which is too bad.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And I'm like you. I had no idea they had an emergency referee.
He was just on standby, ready to and he got out there pretty fast. It was
he did.
Yeah, they went to break for 2 minutes maybe, and he was out there and having to go full go right away, which is impressive. No, he didn't have any really runway to get going.
No, shout out to friend of the show, Connor Beaupre, the e-bug at XL Energy Center. Now we know there's an e-ref as well. Is there an e-podcaster? E-pod?
Yes.
Like if I would suffer like a wrist sprain at a game, like trying to fill up my cup with ice and some sort of pop, would there be somebody in just sitting waiting that says, "I'll take care of it. I'll do your social media stuff for you"?
Well, thank goodness tonight didn't go to like 2 or 3 overtimes. Could you imagine a postcast at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning?
I did like how ESPN multiple times mentioned that they had a triple header, and they're like, everything's going according to plan so far. I'm like, you're gonna jinx it.
Yeah, PK and Marc Messier.
Which,
hey, by the way, I when we get stuck with ESPN, it just always drives me bonkers. I wish we had more TNT games. I think Game 3 is a TNT. So
yep.
Yeah, it's just.
Did you notice that there were audio issues tonight? In the third period, they had one spot where it just cut to just the announcers. Which, by the way, I also was made aware of the fact that for I think it was for the Winnipeg game.
Yeah,
they're doing it remotely.
Yeah, which is you can tell when a game is being broadcasted remote. You just know that they aren't there. It was so weird because Winnipeg had a great crowd too. They had the whiteout going, and that game was probably the out of all the games so far, that was the best game of the playoffs, I thought, so far. It was just the most intense, and it came down to the last minute there. You thought that game was going to overtime, and then they finish off St. Louis there and get an empty netter too. But it's
Binnington
tough with those remote.
Binnington with a couple of soft goals.
Yeah, and Alex Michaletti, a former UMD Minnesota Duluth Bulldog, getting the big goal there, and Kyle Connor. So that was a fun game for sure.
Well, we're gonna talk plenty about Game 1. We'll have an episode probably later today, taking a look at some of the quick fixes, get you set up for Game 2. Things that need to change, what we liked, what we didn't. So there's going to be plenty of recap of Game 1 for you before tomorrow's Game 2. I do want to finish by just taking a look at the series that are going on, because there are some compelling series other than this Wild Golden Knights series. So we'll talk about those to finish as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Tonight's Locked On Wild post Game 1 episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you are ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed. As easy as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube, 3rd Gen. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, our next live show will be Tuesday night as baseball game on the schedule. I didn't realize that I had, so we are going to go with Tuesday, but that's okay. We'll get you ready for the Game 2 because it's going to be another late one. So we'll have that for you at 8 p.m. Tuesday night. Make sure to join us. We'll iron everything out and get you set up for game 2. Alex, there are plenty of other series going on. So I wanted to just do a little wrap around the other series, and we'll just talk through them a little bit and give our predictions as to who we think is going to win all of these games. We'll start off with the one that you mentioned, Jets Blues, and a spirited fight by the Blues in game 1 that ultimately fizzled short. I think we're in agreement here. I just think it's going to be too much Winnipeg for St. Louis. St. Louis is a trendy pick for a round 1 upset, but despite the Blues, they don't have the greatest track record for playoffs over the last few years. I think it's still too much Jets. The depth of that lineup is something else. Oh, and they have Connor Hellebuck. So I'm picking the Jets in that series.
Yeah, me too. I know Robert Thomas has probably been the best player in the NHL down the stretch here. He's just been phenomenal. And Jordan Kyrou, the goal he had was pretty impressive in game 1. Yeah, but yeah, Connor Hellebuck he's playing at an elite level, and I think this first round means a lot to him too, because they've in the past couple seasons have gone out early in the playoffs, and he wants to show that he's just not only regular season goalie, but he can perform in the playoffs, and he came up big for them, and their depth showed up for the Jets. Like I said, Alex Iafallo's been on their fourth line a lot all season, and he's been moved up because Velarde's been banged up, and he got just a key goal there for them, and he also got an extension this week. So good for him. And they really turned it on late there. The Blues looked like they had the momentum, and then the Jets said, "Hey, we're the President's Cup team," and they were able to finish them off there.
Let's go to Colorado and Dallas. And I know the final score is not indicative of how that game went, but it also feels like unless Dallas gets, and I was listening to a little bit of Locked On Avs recap of that game, and I think both Chris and Kyle are 100% right. It feels like Dallas is toast unless they get reinforcements back, because they just did not consistently. They defended surprisingly well. They defended way better than I thought they would. But much like this series against Vegas, it was just wave after wave from Colorado, and it just looked like Dallas was pretty powerless to do anything about it. I was picking before Jason Robertson was out. I was picking Colorado to win that series because I don't.
I got Colorado in the cup, so yeah. I mean, in Mackenzie Blackwood, he looked pretty
looked
good
great.
Yeah, he was making some fantastic saves, and yeah, like you said. I mean, even old friend Charlie Coyle got in the mix there, got a goal. I know it was kind of meaningless at that point in the game, but what a pass by Jack Drury. That was insane. They just, and even if Heiskanen gets back in, he's not going to be like in game shape, ready to go. I mean,
no,
he's just now starting to skate, and how about this? The Matt Dumba was such a liability for them. He
healthy scratched him.
Yeah. So that goes to show you where he's at in his career. I think it being in the NHL is probably near the end for Matt Dumba. But it's tough to lose Robertson in the game. Like, they didn't really need to play him at the end there, because they were locked in to play Colorado, and then he gets hurt. He was kind of banged up coming into the year too. And so, that's just such a tough loss. Even if you pick up, Granlund at the trade deadline, he's not Jason Robertson.
No. And now he's playing top line minutes for them now. Granlund.
Right. Yeah. So it's a complete, it screws everything up of, the chemistry of their lines. And I mean, we took a look at it, in our off-air group chat. I mean, the decor for Dallas right now is absolutely hideous, and
it's bad.
The pickup of Cody CC really made no sense for them. I've never really liked his game. Yeah, just that if he was the guy that they needed a defenseman, and that's who they decided to go with at the deadline. That made no sense.
Not great. It felt like that was almost the Sharks saying, you have to take him. And they're like,
yes,
sold. Fine. I don't care. And it turns out there was probably a reason. This is a new one. This is a new series that we haven't seen for the last 4 consecutive years. The Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. And Alex, I got to say, I feel like the vibe is pretty quiet on this Oilers team heading into this series. Considering the firepower that they have, but unless Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl go nuts, it feels like this Kings team just has way more depth.
Yeah, I did pick Edmonton, but it seems like it's the Kings to take this time around. I don't trust Stuart Skinner, and it's hard to trust Darcy Kemper too. But the way the Kings have been at home too, and they have the home ice advantage, so you think they can finally get it done. We'll see if the Kings can beat their demons. The Kings finally seem to have the depth to overcome Edmonton, but we'll see, because Edmonton still has the best players in the series.
Accurate. And I will say, if Kevin Fiala has a postseason like he has had the last few years, that's going to hurt them pretty bad. He has to be.
He had his career high goals this season with the Kings. We'll see if he can get it done in the postseason.
He had 35 goals, but he only had like 50 some points. Like, what a weird season.
The Kings were at a lot of the times in the season too. They struggled to score. They would win.
Sounds
2-1. Yeah. But breakout year for Quentin Byfield too, after he signed his massive deal. Good for him.
He's so good.
Yeah, he is nasty. That was a great signing by the Kings. He's gonna make that contract look really good for them for sure. And Anze Kopitar at 37 is still getting it done. It's cool to see. And Kempe, one of the most underrated forwards in the league for sure. And they still have Drew Doughty, and I'm sure Wild fans do not like him, but he's still getting it done. And Mikey Anderson, former UMD Bulldog too, very very underrated back there for them.
Yeah, he would look great in a Wild sweater.
Yes.
These Eastern Conference will finish by going through those as well. Maple Leafs and the Senators. Honorary member of Sen Central, Locked On Senators, Ross and Pilsy, just
great dudes.
One of my favorite shows. I still believe in the Senators. Obviously, they kind of got rocked in Game 1, which thankfully for the Wild, it was a close contested game. Because that game against Toronto for the Senators turned into just a mess.
Yeah, and Toronto can do that to you too. And you give them power plays, and Mitch Marner scoring too. The amount of pressure that he's under. I know Wild fans in Wild. It's we're the state of hockey, right? But the pressure of the Canadian teams is at a whole nother level, and the media that they deal with, and Mitch Marner is going to be the top free agent guy, and so for him to score was, I'm sure, just a major relief for him. And then it got everybody going. And hey, Matthew Nyes too. There could be some
He's going to get
offer sheeted chaos. So we'll that's one that he's the perfect bill. The Wild I don't think they have the assets to get it done, but I mean he's the perfect Bill Guerin type of player, right? But yeah, he's had a heck of a year. Playing with Marner and Austin Matthews a lot. We'll do that, but he's stepped up too. So kudos to the former Gopher for sure.
I'm still picking the Senators. That's one of my big upset picks.
Yeah.
Is the Sens, but honestly,
they just have to wear Bruins jerseys.
Yeah, like just gotta get back to playing their game, and just gotta hope that Toronto kind of
Ullmark's better goalie than he was than he was in game one.
Oh yeah.
They're bound. Kachuk was kind of he didn't do much for his playoff debut. It was not a good start for him. So I'm sure he'll be better.
Lightning Panthers, my Stanley Cup pick, the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Me too.
It just feels like nobody is talking about how much of a wagon they are this year.
It's crazy. And getting Gensel, that was such a huge move by them. It was a gamble. They got rid of Mikhail Sergachev, and that was tough because he was there for their cup teams, and he's so close with the other Russians on that team, Vasilevsky and Kucherov, and them getting McDonough back too, and that look how that made Nashville. I mean, defensively they were horrible this year, and I can't believe Trotz gave up on McDonough and gave him back to Tampa, and he's just been a pillar for them back there. One of the best defensive defensemen, and Kucherov leading the league in points again. That guy is so good. And Brandon Hagel's, I know when that trade originally happened, Tampa gave up a ton to get him from Chicago, but I think it's paid off, and we'll see. I think the winner of that series, no matter if it's Tampa or Florida, whoever gets out of that alive, the rest of the way is going to be so much easier for them, because that's a heavyweight title in the first round.
Capitals, Canadians. Do the Canadians have a chance?
Man, I think they're going to be a team to watch. The Canadians are going to be a team to watch out for, in the future here. Just the amount of young talent they have, and Lane Hudson and Demidov that they just magically were able to get right in, and Cole Caulfield. All that man does is score goals, and no matter how that team is doing, and Nick Suzuki has had a heck of a season. I just think the vibes of of this Washington team, the way Ovechkin is playing and getting the goal record, and we'll see if Logan Thompson is because for the regular season he was pretty dominant. We'll see how he is in the postseason here. It will be fun to see the crowds in Montreal, because the Bell Center is one of the best in the arenas in the league for sure. But I just think Washington's going to be too much for the youth of Montreal.
Yeah, they're the other half of my Eastern Conference Finals. It's going to be Capitals Lightning, which is going to be literally electric.
Yes.
Hurricanes Devils final series. I know it's one game, so I'm probably doing a little bit of recency bias here, but the Devils looked awful.
Poor Frank the Tank. Oh man. His rant was hilarious. But yeah, they just and Luke Hughes got hurt too. So I mean both Hugheses are hurt. Tough one. And that Carolina team, they want you're always wanting more from them, because they have so much talent on that team, for sure. If they can get Freddie Anderson to to play and stay healthy, they'll be a tough out for sure. And I just like and how about Brent Burns still getting it done at dang near 40? It's incredible.
Unbelievable. Hurricanes are just they're surgical. They're robotic. It doesn't matter.
Brendan Moore is a heck of a coach.
Yeah.
And again, they have great center depth too. And Sebastian Aho's is phenomenal. The Russians always show out. Svechnikov is great. And their back end, like I mentioned, Brent Burns and Slavin he's right up there for one of the best defensive defensemen for sure. And gosh, Despair's been around for a while, and Chatfield gets the game going with the goal. And they are a fun team to watch.
It's the best time of year. It really is.
It is. Playoff hockey is so intense, and like you said, everything gets magnified, and the hits, man, it's fun to watch those go down. There were some big ones in the Wild Vegas game, and it's intense.
Second most hits in a playoff game for the Minnesota Wild in franchise history. And I was telling Alex this before we recorded before we did the postcast last night. I was like, that feels like a lot. And then they said the record is 71, and I'm like, come on. 71, but then that was against Vegas, and that was in game 1 of the 2020-2021 season, where Cam Talbot outdueled Marc-Andre Fleury in a 1-0 win, which was just an electric game. But Foligno had double digits. Jordan Greenway had 10 hits. So, we talked about it in the postcast. If you want a full deep dive into the game, and we'll have another deep dive into this game later on today as well. Wild they just need to tighten a few things up and go gear up and give Vegas everything they can handle in game 2, and see if that gives them a better chance to try to steal one of these first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean they're right there in it, but going down 0-2 would be especially if that does happen, just to see the crowd. I'm sure at home is just going to be so nervous. But the way that the one encouraging thing is the play of Gus, because he bailed him out multiple times tonight, and like we've been saying, I don't think any of the goals were on him. And if you have your goalie kicking like he was last night, that's huge, because Aiden Hill's he's going to be great on the other end, so it's going to be a battle between those two,
to say the least. Well, that's what we got for you here today. You can see the few other series get their first games underway later here today, so you get a chance to finally get to see Uvis Bolinskis and the Florida Panthers take on the
Oregon Trail, Lightning. One of our favorites.
That's an inside joke. One of my favorite names in the NHL of all time, Uvis Bolinskis. So enjoy the playoff hockey. We'll have plenty of coverage leading up to game 2, both today and tomorrow. So make sure to tune in for that. Make sure to get some sleep. As John Hines says, get some sleep to gear up for another late puck drop coming up Tuesday night. I certainly will. And we'll gear up. We'll tweak a few things, and we'll be right back at you with another episode to recap game 1 and get you set for game 2. You can find all of our episodes covering the Stanley Cup playoffs on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. So make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes here throughout the week. We've got them for you every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.